YouTube is not the same as it was 10 years ago. The style of video and the filming techniques have evolved, and the growth strategies have changed too. If you want to make videos that actually get views and help you grow your YouTube channel, then it's time for your strategy to change. In 2015, the biggest vloggers were writing clickbait titles in all caps and using a random but dramatic screen grab from the middle of their video as the thumbnail. That kind of thing just doesn't hit like it used to. Successful YouTubers in 2025 use specific and intentional strategies to grab the attention of their audience and keep them watching. But in order to know what approach you should use, you need to determine what kind of vlogger you are. I'm going to introduce you to two kinds, and we're going to talk about that in depth. But I also want to show you 10 different easy shot ideas that will help you make your videos engaging enough for a 2025 audience. Because if we're honest, standards have shifted and everybody basically has brain rot to varying degrees now, so we kind of need to account for that in the way that we shoot our videos. Basically, dynamic visuals are essential. I feel like back in 2015, creators would just yap away to the camera for like 10 minutes straight, and that's just not gonna cut it in today's attention economy. So I'm gonna share some interesting shot ideas that are easy to get, but will help keep your viewer engaged. Oh, and by the way, if you're new here, hi, I'm Katie, and I like to share the behind the scenes of being a content creator to make it less intimidating for you, because I want you to be able to turn your creativity into a career. So subscribe if that sounds cool to you, and now let's dive into talking about which type of vlogger you are, and therefore what strategy you should use. And by the way, thanks to Insta360 for sponsoring today's video. So the way I see it, there are basically two types of vloggers: personality driven and plot driven. Vloggers, in essence, are storytellers. So, in my opinion, a great framework for thinking about storytelling on YouTube is by thinking about storytelling in books. Like good novels, vloggers can drive interest in their stories through compelling character development or through action-packed plots, where books like The Bell Jar or Normal People follow a character's internal journey and personal reflections. Books like The Da Vinci Code or The Hunger Games are all about the twists and turns of plot. Of course, in character-driven books, we know things still happen, and in plot-driven books, the characters are still interesting. But the distinction here is what compels us to keep reading. I'm gonna dive deep into more examples in just a minute, but to give you a sense of what I'm talking about, here's an example of a plot-driven vlog versus a personality or character-driven vlog. Both of these are set in the mountains with a slightly outdoorsy theme, but you can see they both have entirely different approaches. Kara and Nate's video is all about the action, the adventure, the experience, while Isabel's is more about meditation and introspection. In simple terms, her character or personality. So which one are you? Are you a plot-driven vlogger or a personality-driven vlogger? If you already know which approach you prefer, let me know in the comments, but if not, don't worry, because in a second I'm gonna ask you a series of questions that will really help you figure it out. Okay, but whether you're making personality or plot-driven vlogs, you're still gonna need interesting visuals to keep your viewers engaged. So like I said, throughout this video, you're gonna get 10 shot ideas that help upgrade your YouTube videos from 2015 to 2025. Okay, so first we're gonna start with a combination of 3 shots that I think you should get every single time you go to shoot B-roll. This will not only triple your output, but it's also gonna give you a much better selection of B-roll to choose from and allow you to create sequences. It's the classic wide, medium, and close-up. Now here's the easy way to do this. Every time you go to set up a shot, start by getting your wide first. Do whatever action you're gonna do in your clip. Maybe it's like taking a sip of your coffee. Once you're done that, stop the camera and reposition it for a medium shot. Maybe you repeat the same action that you just did so that you could match up the shots in a sequence later, or just use them in different circumstances. Finally, reposition the camera again to get your close-up. Depending on the action, maybe this one's a little bit different. Try to showcase a small detail in the scene that really brings some texture to your visuals. For the rest of the shot ideas I'm going to share with you in this video, I want to encourage you to apply the same principle to all of them. Challenge yourself to get a wide, medium, and close-up version of all these shots. Okay, so shot number 4 that you can get for your vlog is pretty fun and unique, and that is a hands-free POV. Maybe you're making yourself a coffee or picking a book off the shelf or even doing a get ready with me in the mirror. The way I'm shooting these clips is with the new GoUltra camera by Insta360, who are kindly sponsoring today's video. It's honestly crazy to think how much cameras have changed since the days of vlogging in 2015. Like, we no longer need to be carrying around heavy Canon DSLRs on GorillaPods when we've got cameras like this. You can capture crisp, high-quality footage with a camera the size of an Oreo, which just makes it so much more comfortable to film yourself in public because this is so discreet. The GoUltra is a great all-around vlogging camera with 4K at 60 frames per second, plus an upgraded image sensor, HDR, and new pure video mode for nighttime shooting. I used the GoUltra all summer to capture clips of myself while I was traveling. Even clips of me swimming at an absolutely frigid Scottish beach because the GoUltra actually is waterproof. One of my favorite features of this camera is the various mounts that it comes with. So I was using the magnet pendant before to get those hands-free shots. All you gotta do is put it around your neck. You can even wear it underneath your shirt, and then you could magnet the camera right to your chest. So much more sleek and less bulky than GoPro mounts that get you basically the same result. There's also the suction mount, which sticks to pretty much anything. You can put it on the dash of your car and capture clips of driving, or you can stick it to a window and you know you're gonna have killer lighting. And of course, because the camera itself is magnetic, you can stick it to magnetic surfaces, no accessories needed. This makes getting shots of yourself for your vlog so easy because you can quickly and discreetly set up your camera anywhere. So Insta360 wanted me to let you guys know that their creator bundle, which includes the GoUltra camera and a bunch of cool accessories, is gonna be on sale for Black Friday for $80 off. And if you use my exclusive link in the description, you're gonna get a free 256GB micro SD card with your purchase. So you might be a plot-driven vlogger if you want to go on adventures and document them, or there's a specific theme or topic that you want your vlogs to focus on. Or maybe you're just the kind of person that kind of crazy and wild stuff happens to. Like if you often find yourself in really outlandish circumstances, then you're a prime suspect for a plot-driven vlogger. Another good sign you'd be a plot-driven vlogger is if you anticipate your videos having some kind of conflict, maybe a bit of drama. You want your videos to be action-packed, basically. And finally, you should be a plot-driven vlogger if you'd rather tell stories about specific experiences rather than share just like your entire life on the internet. Okay, so if that's you, now let's talk about the specific strategic ways that you're gonna wanna approach your titles, thumbnails, and storytelling. So plot-driven vloggers use the titles for their videos to pitch the concept of the story they're gonna tell in a way that surprises, impresses, or leaves the viewer guessing about what's gonna happen next. Basically, stuff like 108-mile race that almost broke me, 4 days camping with wild brown bears in Alaska, I tried every room on the most expensive cruise. You'll see a lot of I tried blah 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 in plot-driven vlogs. That's a very common trope. 100 kids versus world's strongest man? And I trained like a black belt for 90 days. The thumbnail for a plot-driven vlogger basically acts as like a movie poster for their video. It will sometimes feel like a freeze frame from the video itself, but I can tell you it pretty much never is. Creators like this, especially really high caliber ones like the ones I've picked here, will spend hours in a studio shooting images for thumbnails like these. If you think about it, there's just no way that you would have such a perfectly composed moment that like fully encompasses the idea of the video just naturally happen. So these are basically done by composites by very talented Photoshop artists. But you can use the same principles for yourself. Basically, you're trying to evoke a scene that happened in the video. Ideally, you pick the most high stakes moment and create a thumbnail that alludes to that. For example, here, Kara actually spotting the bear outside of her tent. Or this exact moment here where Michelle is chopping through the boards. I feel like oftentimes you'll see with videos that are pitched as like a multi-day challenge, you'll see somebody at their absolute worst, looking tired, exhausted, whatever, and it'll be labeled like day 17. It's supposed to feel like a snapshot from the story that you're about to watch, but they're thoughtfully crafted to give that vibe, right? Okay, next let's talk about storytelling. There's many ways to go about it, but I think a classic 3-act structure is one of the most common. Act 1 is the setup. This is where we learn how the story begins, what the before looks like. To explain this concept, I'm gonna use Kara and Nate's video about the ultra marathon. Now, the intro tells us that Nate's done a lot of races, including really difficult high elevation ones, but never one quite this intense. And now this is where YouTube storytelling can look a little bit different than what we traditionally think of in a book or a movie. The intro is all about teasing and foreshadowing the drama that's to come. We've got to see a taste of some of the major obstacles that are going to come up throughout the video. It's really crucial for retention on YouTube to do something like this. It sets the stake, it lets the audience know what's in store, and it really creates buy-in to keep them watching. I know this style of intro can feel kind of silly from a traditional storytelling perspective. It would be kind of like if in the beginning of the Hunger Games, Katniss would turn to the camera and say, guys, in this video, you won't believe it, but I'm gonna be volunteering as tribute. Stay tuned to see what happens next. Like obviously that wouldn't happen in fiction, but like that's where YouTube is kind of its own unique medium, because you really do need to do this kind of intro. If you think of it, it's kind of just like tacking a movie trailer on to the beginning of the actual movie. Okay, so that's Act 1. Act 2 is the confrontation. This is the part of the story where our character faces increasing obstacles on the way to the climax. Usually these obstacles continue to increase in severity on the way up to our highest point of drama in the video, the climax, of course. This is the biggest challenge where the character feels at their lowest point. And finally, we have Act 3, which is the resolution. The character has overcome the biggest obstacle and is able to finish the journey, usually having changed as a person or learned something new. This is a tried and true framework that has been used in everything from Shakespeare to Twilight, and you can make use of it too. Now, okay, I know you might be thinking, yeah, but Katie, those are works of fiction. Aren't vlogs nonfiction? Well, yes, it's nonfiction, but that doesn't mean that it can't be a story. You might not go into filming a vlog knowing exactly what the obstacles or the climax is going to be, but after you've experienced and documented it, you can piece together the shape of the story in the edit. That's why plot-driven vloggers are always starting from a concept. Doing an ultra marathon in the mountains, camping out with brown bears, trying every hotel room on a cruise. These are all concepts that are bound to incite some kind of story. When you know this, I feel like all of the formats that popular plot-driven vloggers use start to become really recognizable patterns, because it's like that's why all of these people are constantly doing like marathons, climbing mountains. These are things that just have built-in challenges by their very nature and a really clear, triumphant finish. The story basically writes itself. Okay, a few more quick shot ideas that you could try to make your vlogs more visually interesting. A top-down shot. You can use any camera to do this, but the GoUltra comes with this handy suction mount that lets you stick it pretty much anywhere. I recommend taking the camera out of the action pod so that way you can see what the camera is filming while you're setting up the shot. You can get really cool results like this. I think this is just such a fun and unique view, and it really grabs the attention of your viewers. Next up is a shoes POV. Basically, if you're going on a hike, you can just use the selfie stick and flip the camera upside down and film at shoe level. The camera will automatically adjust and know that it's filming upside down, so you're gonna end up with a nice right side up clip of you walking along from a unique perspective. And next is the quote unquote hidden camera. This is a fun one to include in a sequence where you're maybe like looking for something, and having a small camera makes it even easier to do this. Just press record on the camera, set it up inside the cabinet, leave it there, shut the door, and then action, go ahead, open up the door again, grab something out, and close it. Of course, you can trim off the beginning later, and it ends up being a very fun and different point of view. Okay, so you might be a personality-driven vlogger if you don't really see your videos including any conflict or a specific climax. You'd rather leave your audience with a feeling or a vibe rather than keeping them on the edge of their seats. You have a specific style, sense of humor, or point of view that infuses all parts of your life. And finally, you don't mind sharing the more private day-to-day side of life. If all of this resonates with you, then next let's talk about the kind of titles that you want to write as a personality-driven vlogger. The titles that successful personality-driven vloggers use are so fascinating to me because honestly, it's just so different than the type of titles that I would use on my channel. Titles that seem totally non-strategic actually very much are. Now you might see them and think, Katie, like how are people gonna find these? There's no way people are like searching for this type of thing. But remember, we're not targeting search traffic, especially for personality-based vloggers. Targeting homepage traffic for these type of creators is so much more effective. And honestly, I would say that's the case for like the vast majority of creators. Like the type of titles that are successful for plot-driven vloggers aren't necessarily SEO optimized either. So in general, just like don't worry too much about search. Instead of the approach of pitching a concept in a way that generates curiosity and suspense, personality vloggers take the opportunity in their title to show their sense of humor, their unique voice, and of course, their personality. Honestly, all of these sound more like a text from a friend than they really sound like a YouTube title. So some key examples that I've been sharing here are, this feels like a voice note, but I'm showing you my weekend outfits. Spend a solo day with me while doing all my favorite things in London. Lock up your sons, it's girls weekend. I love that one. I struggled during this time and it feels like a new season. Not gonna lie, like I'm low-key obsessed with these type of creators. I love watching their stuff and I just find it so cool how they're able to infuse so much meaning and personality into these like short, witty titles. When it comes to thumbnails, I think a big thing for personality-driven vloggers is connecting with their overall aesthetic, because I think that always has to be at least a little bit aspirational for these type of creators. Or like honestly, just even having their thumbnails sort of align with their like fashion sense, their overall vibe. Because let's just be honest, if you're following these type of creators, it's because you like their vibe, their aesthetic, their style. Creators like this build their business on making recommendations that their followers are gonna like. That's kind of the definition of being an influencer. So obviously, if you're gonna follow somebody like this, you need to like those things about them, like their sense of fashion, beauty, jewelry, whatever. So obviously it's pretty important that that is communicated in the style of thumbnail. It's also just impressive to me how cohesive this can be. Like I'm telling you, go to any of these gals' channels, scroll through the thumbnails, and it looks like a magazine spread. The cohesion of aesthetic and the consistency of brand, to me, is a hallmark of successful creators of this type. Which, by the way, if you do want to do that, I'm gonna have all of the channels that I featured in examples linked in the description. I think it just makes sense if the draw of your channel is your personality, then your title and thumbnail are an opportunity to demonstrate your personality. The title is a chance to showcase your voice, and the thumbnail a chance to showcase your aesthetic. All right, let's talk about storytelling. There's really not so much of a structured approach to storytelling when it comes to being a personality-driven vlogger. I feel like that's kind of the point. That's kind of part of the distinction. It's so much more about the vulnerability and authenticity that you're able to share in your videos. Honestly, this is more of a challenge than people give it credit for. I think people will be tempted to think that personality-driven is kind of the easy way to vlog compared to like plot-driven vloggers. But I actually think what is discounted in that consideration is the emotional demand of doing this kind of thing. It's all about like going into yourself and using your own emotions and your own life experiences and like putting that on display for the internet. Like, being vulnerable online is not easy. You really open yourself up to a lot of critique that can cut really deep. So where I think for plot-driven vloggers, the challenge is in crafting an interesting and compelling story. For personality-driven vloggers, the challenge is mining within your own emotions and experiences and sharing something that is vulnerable and authentic and like true and not at all sort of contrived or manipulated, because I think people really see through that. And yeah, like just being yourself, I think is harder to do than people give it credit for. When I think about what's changed on YouTube since 2015, there seems to be one key thing that's continuing to hold creators back even now. And I'm gonna tell you about it while I show you the last 3 shot ideas that you can use in your next vlog. You need to give people a reason to watch your vlog. Yes, viewers needed to be convinced to click back in 2015 too, but the platform has become a lot more competitive since then. Not only are there more YouTubers, but there's also apps like TikTok and Instagram competing for your viewers' attention too. Whether it's your relatable personality or your compelling storytelling, you need something that draws people back to your videos. Decide what you want that to be, plot or personality, and then lean into it. So let me know in the comments if you are a plot or a personality vlogger. I'll be really curious to find out and to know what the ratio is. Like, I feel like it's gonna be 50-50, but I guess we'll see in the comments. I hope this was a helpful distinction for you. I came up with this framework this week as I was kind of getting more back into reading, and I was looking up different books that I wanted to read and thinking about how, you know, there's some that are more plot focused and some that are more character focused, and how that framework actually really applies to vloggers too. As with anything, there's going to be gray areas and nuance. Like, not everybody fits perfectly into one box or the other, but I hope that it could be at least a helpful guide for you as you're considering your own approach to vlogging and what your YouTube strategy should look like going into 2026. So yeah, I hope I shared some helpful insights for you. Check out these videos next if you want more tips on filming yourself and making YouTube videos. And as always, I hope that you're having adventures and following your dreams, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.